Hello everyone, today I want to show you how to make this netted RounDuo bracelet, and this is what it looks like. So you get this netted effect, and I'm just using RounDuos for this piece because it's got these beads are round but they have two holes, and I've just used two different colours to achieve like an arrow or herringbone pattern on it. But obviously you can do that however you want, and then it's going to look like this when you wear it. So it's quite an easy and simple technique and a nice simple way how to use these beads. So if you want to learn how to make this, then keep watching. And here are the things that we're going to need. Now first off, we'll need a cord, and in this case I'm working with a 0.5mm nylon cord, and it's just a black colour, but the colour doesn't really matter. And I'm using a 0.5 because we need to make sure we can go through the holes in the beads, and the holes on these beads are about a 0.5mm in diameter. So that's why I'm using this. But you could also quite easily use something like Eslon or just something else that you have at hand that'll just go through them. And like I mentioned, in this case what I'm using for this design are the RounDuo beads, and that's where it's a regular round bead but it has two holes instead of the usual one, and that's what makes these beads a little bit different, and that's why they'll work brilliantly for this design that I'm going to be showing you. And these colours are just the white lilac luster, and that's the lighter pink one here. And then I've got the white Vega luster on there, and it's like a darker wine colour with a bit of a gold sheen to it. But those are just the colours that I'm going to be using and the pattern that I'm going to make with them, but you can obviously choose to use whatever you want to do. And the size of these beads, they're roughly about a 6mm in diameter. And what I'm going to do is put a link to the Potomac Bead Company, because that's where you can buy them and they're exclusive to them. So I'll put a link in the description box if you're interested to go and have a look. And then I'm also using these beads, and these are some 2mm metal spacer beads, and I've just chosen a silver colour because I thought it would go nicely with the other colours that I'm working with for the design. And all you need to make sure of is that the hole is large enough in these small beads for your cord also to go through them. So you can quite easily use some other types of beads like seed beads or something that are quite small. Just make sure that the hole is large enough for your cord. And then to finish off the bracelet, I'm using these ribbon ends at the end. And these are a size 40mm in the length, and they'll fit perfectly with the design that I'm going to be doing. But you can also change the size of the bracelet, so the width, either to make it wider or narrower, and then change up the size of these as well. These are just what I'm going to be using. So then let's get all our materials together, and then let's get started. And so the first thing we need to do is we need to cut all our cords ready. And what I have here is I have 8 lengths of about 50cm each. And now, like I said, you can either make your bracelet wider or narrower. You just want to add cords or take cords away. So that's completely up to you, but I'm just going to be using 8. So once you've cut all your cords, what I've done is I've attached it to my macrame board. And this is just really helpful to use, especially for this design, but in general. It has these notches to help keep your cords in place. And then what I'll do is I'll just put a link in the description box to where you can buy it if you're interested, if you don't have it already. But it is a really nice tool to use in general. But the way that I set my cords up on my board is we have the 8 lengths, and what I've done is I've used 4 notches right next to each other, and I put 2 cords in each notch. So that's just how I'm going to set it up to begin with, and then we need to start putting on our beads. So to get started, we need to start adding our beads to our lengths of cord, and what I'm going to do, every time we add a RounDuo bead, we're going to be using 2 lengths of cord for that one bead. And that's obviously because the RounDuo beads has the 2 holes, and that's what's going to create the design that we're going to be doing. So I'm just going to first start with the middle one, just because it makes it easier for the pattern that I'm going to be doing with my beads. You can obviously do it differently. You could use just one colour of your RounDuo beads if you want to, or even more different colours to do a completely different pattern than what I'm going to do. I'm just going to do a bit of like a herring type pattern on it, so V shapes but in different colours. So I'm going to take 2 cords first, loose, one from each of the 2 middle ones, so they'll cross over like this, and then I'm going to add my RounDuo beads to these 2 cords, with 1 cord going through each hole. And then just a little tip that I want to give you, if you find it a little bit hard to get the ends of your cord through the RounDuo beads, because the holes aren't the largest in the world, so if it's a bit of a tight space, what you can always do is kind of singe the end of your cord, if it's like a nylon or something cord, so as long as it's not a natural fibre, and then once you singe it with like a lighter, then roll it between your fingers to create like a point to it, a bit of a needle, Obviously you want to be careful because it gets hot when you use the lighter on it, but that is something you can do, and then that will help you to be able to get through. So now that I've added my bead onto those 2 lengths of cord, what I'm going to do is just push it up. So just up towards the top here, and it'll just sit here to begin with while we're adding in our next few beads. So to move on to the next cord, I'm just going to go to one of the sides and then take the next cords that I'm going to be using there. So in this case, I'm taking one from the outside here, from the very outside, just one, and then the last one in this pair in the middle where I already used the one. So what we're going to do now is use these 2 to get together like that. I'm going to add a bead onto them. And in this case, I've used the other colour that I have. So push it again all the way up, just up so it sits next to the one we already added. So that's the other colour, and this is just to achieve the pattern that I want to achieve. But like I said, you can obviously just add the colours however you want to. And then you want to just do the same here on the other side. So take one cord from the outside one, and then the last one out of that inside pair that you already used, and add your bead to this. And I'm going to use the same colour that I used on this outside, and then again just push it up all the way so you get it to sit right on the other side here on the same level as the others. So now this is where the macrame board comes in really handy as well, because in here at the bottom we have all the loose cords that we just added to use to add beads on, and we can just place them back in the slots just while we're then using some other cords, just so we don't have so many loose cords all over the place. So that makes it really nice and handy, because then we need to add in some of our smaller beads. So what I'm going to do with that is I'm just going to first add some of the small beads to the 2 outside cords here that we haven't added anything to yet. And what I'm going to use for this are the small metal spacer beads that I have here. So I'm just going to add about 3 onto this side and also the other side as well. And I'm just adding 3 for now just to get the whole pattern started really. Once we're done the whole piece, we can always go back to this end and finish that off and adjust it a little bit, add some more beads or take some off, whatever we need to, because this end is open, so we can always do that at the end. For now I'm just going to add 3 to both sides. So I've now got the 3 little beads on each side here, pushing them up just so they sit roughly around the same level. And now what we need to do is add some of these small beads to the other strands as well. So what I want to do here is I want to go all the way across and add 3 of my small metal spacer beads there, or whatever beads you're using, 3 to each of these lengths. So fill up all these cords that you haven't put the small beads on yet with 3 each. So I've now added all my metal spacer beads here, going all the way across. So there's 3 spacer beads, or the small ones, on each cord that we have. So now that I've got that all the way across, I'm going to go back to my RounDuo beads, and what we need to do again is add 2 cords through them. So every time, like I said, we add a RounDuo, we're using 2 cords. The only difference is now you just got to check where you put them last time, so what cords you used for them, because what we want to do now is up here we have on this side we have those 2 cords added, or the 2 RounDuo beads. What we need to do is we need to then add a RounDuo bead with 1 length from each going through the previous ones. So we'll be bringing them together like this. So we need to add 1 to here, and then when you add that and push it all the way up, so you can see the bead here, the RounDuo, is actually bringing those 2 cords together like that. And then we have the small beads in between, bringing them together, so basically covering up the cord. And then in this case, I've just added the darker colour again, so the one I used on the outside in the previous row. And this is just the pattern that I'm using. Like I said, you can do your own pattern, or you can just use one colour. That's up to you. But I'm also going to be doing that on the other one here. So put these back in, if you got the macrame board, and then grab these 2 cords, so on the other side right next to it, and then again add your RounDuo onto there. And if you're doing the same type of pattern, just do the same colour that you just added, so in my case the darker one. And so again you just push that all the way up, so that brings these 2 sides together like that. And now you can actually slowly start to see the pattern and the design forming here. Then put these back in, so that's your next one. And as you can see, this will then start forming that V pattern with this colour, and then we'll start doing it with the next colour now. So the next cords I'm going to do are the very outside ones here. So these very two outside ones, and the same thing on the other side. And then on here, with the pattern that I'm doing, I'm again going to take one of the lighter pink ones, and I'm going to add that to these, and then again push it up just like all the other times to sit right below our small beads here, and then just place them back in. Repeat the same thing on the other side, so like this, bring it all the way down again, and then here we have our second row of a RounDuo beads. And then again for this row, what we need to do now is we need to add some more of our small metal spacer beads here. So again, I just like to start from the middle just because of the pattern that I'm doing. It's kind of from the middle and then outward towards the sides. So just take one cord at a time, and then on these add 3 of your little beads again. So now on this row, I've added 3 of my small beads in each cord except for the outside ones, because what you'll find is on the last time we put on the RounDuo beads on that row, we used all the cords, so we have 4. But then the previous one, and it's going to be the one after this as well, we only used 3. So that means the outside cords don't get used for a RounDuo bead. So we just need to replace that space where that would be with some more of the small beads here. So that's why, in this case, the size of beads that I'm using, on the outside ones here, to replace that space of the RounDuo bead, I'm going to add 9 of them on the outside ones instead. And that's on both sides. So now that we have both sides done here of the small beads, the rest of the space in here is what we need to use for the RounDuos. So what you want to do is add your RounDuos on these again. So the 2 middle ones here. So that's like the first one we did. But in this case, because the pattern I'm doing, I want to add one of my darker ones. So I'm going to add that onto those 2 cords, push it up, and just make sure to keep pushing everything together as you go, because it'll be a bit loose here to begin with, but it's only until you get some more done of your pattern. And there you can see we now have the finished V formed. And then the other 2, so on the side of that, I'm pushing up and adding one of my lighter pink ones to this side, and the same on the other side, like that. And then you can see the next V starting to form here of the next colour. And this is, like I keep saying, it's just the pattern that I've chosen to do. But now what we're ready to do again is add 3 of our small beads on each of these inside cords again, where we just added the RounDuos. But then that's all you keep doing, you just keep doing the same thing like this. So on the next row of RounDuos we need to do the 4 down here, and then just repeat the same thing throughout, and then follow whatever pattern that you want to do if you want to do a pattern. And remembering, when you do the rows of 3 RounDuos, you just add extra small beads on the outside. So just keep doing this, adding your beads, your small beads and your RounDuo beads, and whatever pattern that you want them to be, until you reach almost the length that you want your bracelet to be. Just take into account the length that the clasp you use is going to add to the bracelet as well, but then otherwise just keep going until you reach the length you want it to be. So I've now reached the length that I want it to be, and then I just finished on these. So I finished on the row where now I would add on 4 RounDuo beads. So that means I have 9 on each of the sides, and then 3 on all the strands in the middle. And then what you just want to do as well, if you started the piece out like me, where the other end we started adding the 3 and then we kept on with the pattern, you can just go back to it here and make sure that this end finishes the same way. So you have 9 on each side of your small beads and then 3 on each strand. Because the space is open, we haven't finished anything off yet, so you can quite easily go back and do that. But what you just want to keep in mind when you're measuring the length of your piece is that as you're making it, like now, it's attached to the board and it looks kind of quite tight and not that open weave to it. But that's why you just got to keep in mind that it will end up being more spaced out. It's just because it's attached to the board now, as you can see, like this, and it's pulling the strands like this. But just kind of pull it out and squeeze it a bit together to make sure you get the right length, because that'll just shorten it just a little bit. But then once you're happy with your length and you've gotten both ends ready, we now need to finish off the ends here, and we'll do the same thing on both ends. So to finish off the end here, what we need to do is we need to connect all these cords together somehow to make this end piece a little bit more solid, to then be able to put into the ribbon end. And to do this, what I'm going to use are some double half hitches, and what we need to do is kind of split them up into pairs so we connect 2 cords at a time to begin with. So right now we have basically 3 pairs in the middle and then 2 single ones on the side, because that's how we put on the beads, the last row. But what we just need to do is change up the pairs actually. So we have the 2 outside ones as a pair, and then next 2 as a pair, next 2 again, and then the 2 outside ones on the other side. So this is how we're going to end up having our pairs now. So all the cords are connected to another cord. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to start from the sides to connect those first. So I grab 2 from the one side. Then what I do is I take the outside one, I'm just starting on the right side, so I take the right cord over the left one, and then I'm going to make my double half hitches with this left one, so the one that comes underneath. So just do a double half hitch around like this, and then tighten. So we've done 1 half hitch now, we need to do another one the same way to make it a double half hitch. So again, the one in my left hand is above, and the right hand goes around your finger and through the loop, like so. And what I do when I'm tightening these knots is the holding cord, I hold this straight down, so you're kind of building a row of knots straight downwards, and then go back the other way, because we're building up a little row here of knots. So the working cord comes back underneath your holding cord, and then do a double half hitch again, like that. So that's the one side now. And I just want to say, if you're unsure about macrame knots, I do have a video on how to do some basic macrame knots, and that might help you. So that's like the first little row on this one side. So I'm going to move over to the other side and do the same thing. So we take the 2 cords furthest to the other side, and left in this case, and then again we want to just make sure that we have the right one, that's the holding cord, and then one that's the working cord. So the very outside one, so because we're on the left side now, that's the left cord, that's going to be the holding cord, so that goes above the other one, that's then your working cord, and then you do your double half hitch, so around your finger and through the loop, and then 1 more to do a double half hitch, like that, and then change direction. So take your working cord back underneath, and then just repeat around your finger and through the loop, like so, and around your finger and through the loop. And then that's both sides now, with a small row of knots going straight down. So now that we have the 2 sides done, like that, we need to just move into the middle pairs. And we already have the pairs set up, so these 2 and then these 2 that we haven't done yet. And you just want to start with one of them, and then the one right from the middle goes underneath the other one, and then do your double half hitch the same way, and then another one to make it a double half hitch. And remember, your holding cord, kind of pull it straight down because you're building up your row downwards, and change direction to go around your finger and through the loop, like so. And then the same thing with the last 2 cords we haven't done yet. We'll take the middle one underneath, because that's your working cord, and then around your finger and through the loop, and then again to get your double half hitch, and change direction, so bring it underneath, and then around your finger and through the loop, and around your finger and through the loop, like so. So now we have made some knots on all the cords here and all the pairs, and it's a lot more secure now. But all we need to do now is just make kind of a little bridge going all the way across, so these individual sections are also bound together. So to create that, what we need to do is start from one side again, and then we kind of need to change direction of our row of knots. So what I'm going to do is take the one that's furthest to the left, on my left side in this case, and bring that across all the others. And then the other one that was a working cord there is still going to be a working cord. We're just changing direction of the row of knots. So I'm going to have it come straight across this way instead of down. So just again, do a double half hitch. And then when you tighten it like this so you kind of make a bend, a 90-degree angle there. And one more. Like that. So you're getting your angle. And then we need to change direction again. So just bring your working cord underneath, do your double half hitch, and then just kind of hold it, tighten it like this. You can change your body piece around if that's easier, to kind of get that straight line going the other way here. And then once more for the double half hitch, change direction again, bring it back underneath, and then do it one more time. Another double half hitch. Continue to hold your row straight across like that. Change direction one more time. Again, hold it as good as you can, or change your body piece around like this, and then back down one more time. And then this is going to be the last one, like that, because we now have a nice enough space there, as you can see, that it's pretty much almost reaching the very next row of knots in the middle here. And that's what we want to do. So we want to go to the other side, do the exact same thing, but just obviously the opposite way. So take the very outside one, bring it over all the others, and then start your double half hitches, building up your row by holding it at that angle, and then changing direction. Bring it underneath. So finish up this row as well with the same amount of knots as the other side. And so I've got both sides the same now. So what we need to do is connect the sides to the middle parts. So just do one at a time again. So go back to my left one, grab the middle pair here that we need to connect it to, and I'm just going to grab the one furthest to the left because we need to connect the side piece to that. So I'm just going to grab the one that was the holding cord furthest to the left, and then the one that kind of meets that cord first, and then just do a double half hitch with them. So the one that's coming from the side goes underneath and then around your finger and through the loop. So that loops around the cord coming from the middle section, and then we're just going to let that come straight down like that. And this is just to connect them. And I'm going to go to the other side straight away and do the same thing. So grab your middle section from that side and do the cord that's furthest to that side, and then the holding cord from this piece that's meeting up with it, and then bring that underneath, and then do your double half hitch and tighten it all the way up, and one more time, be a double half hitch like that. So now the two sides are connected to the two middle ones, and all we need to do now is then connect the very middle piece. And so to do that, you can just separate some of your cords out a little bit, because they can be a little bit confusing with too many cords going on. So take the two from the side here and just put them to the side because we're done with them. We're just going to use the four coming straight in the middle here. So again, these aren't connected, so I'm going to start with one side. The one that's furthest to the top, coming out from the middle section, I bring that underneath the other one that's kind of coming straight out from this row, continuing, and then make a double half hitch, just to basically start building a bit of a row of knots here, like that. And then again, change direction because we're building up this row, so bring it underneath your holding cord, just like we did on the outside sections, and then just do your double half hitch, tighten them, and again you can always change your board or your piece around to get a better working position, and back underneath again, like that, making that straight row across, just like so. And then with the other side, we've now done the side of the row in that one, and then bring the other two, the last two kind of free cords from the middle here, and again bring the top one underneath the other one, and then do your double half hitch, coming out straight out to build up that row like that. And here we're just going to do this one, because this side is a little bit longer than the other side. It doesn't matter which one is longer than the other one. It's just because now we're going to connect the two rows, and then the distance here is going to be about the same as the ones on the side. So I'm going to grab basically the two holding cords from each side, and then the longest one is going to go underneath and be the working cord for the other one. So I'll go around my finger and through the loop. And we're done using the other two now, so put them out of the way. And then tighten it. And then one more time. Like that. And then there you have all your cords connected. And now, it probably doesn't look that neat, but don't worry about it. It doesn't have to be neat or very nicely done. It's literally just connecting them, because this piece will be inside the ribbon end anyway. So all the purpose of this is just to kind of connect your cords and give a bit more solid piece to put in your ribbon end. So that's the only purpose with this. It doesn't have to be neat or look very nice at all. So now that you've done this and you've done it on both ends, what I'm going to do now is take the piece off my board, because we're done kind of building it and working with it. And then I'm just going to get out some glue, and we need to just get rid of these excess cords. So I'll get just a toothpick, because I like applying my glue with that, because you can get a little bit into where you want it to go. And then I'll just use my E6000 for this, because it's a great glue, and I'm also going to use this to go inside the ribbon ends. So I just like making sure you use the same glue for that. Get a bit on your toothpick, and then just put a bit of glue around where your cords are coming out. Just a little bit, just enough to be able to cut them off basically. And again, don't worry about it being too neat, because this will all go inside the ribbon end. You just need to make sure that it's nice and secure. Like that. And then let it dry. And then when it's dry, you can go in and cut off the excess cords here, nice and close to all your knot work. But obviously make sure you don't cut into your knots as well. So I've now finished off both my ends, as you can see here. And I got rid of all my cords, excess cords. So now what we need to do is get the ribbon end out and then place it onto the ends. And then again, I'm going to use my E6000 for this. I prefer to use this glue for this kind of thing, because it's really strong, so it'll last you a long time and make it really nice and durable. But also it dries clear, so if anything spills out a little bit, then it won't be that visible, and otherwise you can just kind of pick it off afterwards anyway once it's dried. And then again, also get my toothpick and then get some glue on there. Make sure you don't use too much. You just want to get enough glue in here to kind of coat the sides. And you just move your glue around the sides. Make sure you coat all the sides, and I like to go all the way down to the bottom as well. But you don't want to fill it up too much, because then it'll just come spilling out once you clamp it down. Just enough for it to grab onto your piece basically and be nice and secure. So like that. You can always add a little bit more if you want to. Just going to add a little bit more, but not too much. So up and down the sides here, making sure everything is coated. So like that. That seems good to me. And like I said, don't worry too much if you kind of get a bit of glue on the outside, because you can, once it's dry, you can easily just peel that off afterwards. And then when we have that, we need to just place all the knotted cord that we did into it, like so. So it's basically just the bead sticking out. Once we clamp it down, make sure it's in there nice and good. press it all the way down so it sits nicely, so it won't go any further basically. And then I'm going to get my flat nose pliers out and start clamping this down. And then what you're going to do, you don't want to just go to one spot and then push it all the way down. I like to kind of start towards one end and just gently press it down a little bit at a time, move my way across, back and forth the sides, because then as you go, your piece will probably move a little bit inside there, and you have the time to just adjust it, and then adjust it how you need to, and keep going, pressing it down. And then once you're happy with how it sits and it can't really move anymore, I go in and give it one last squeeze all the way across, and I do this nice and tight. I give it a nice squeeze to make it really secure. And on the ends as well, you want to make sure to clamp down the ends nicely. Like that. And then that is really nice and secure. And you won't be able to pull this out, so it's not going to come out. And then here we have obviously the loop we're going to attach our jump ring and clasp to. You want to do the same at the other end. So I've now finished off both of my ends, and I've attached my clasp to this end and extended chain to the other one. You can always attach whatever you want to attach. Then this is your finished netted RounDuo bracelet. So it gives a really nice effect, I think, and it's quite a tactile piece to wear as well. It's got a nice movement to it and fluidity. And then when you wear it, it'll look something like this. And obviously attached at the back. And then you have your bracelet going across with the netted effect. And in this case, like I said, I just did this pattern of kind of the herringbone or some arrows with two different colours, but you can obviously do it however you want to do it. So this is just how to do this bracelet, so I really hope that you enjoyed this tutorial, and thank you very much for watching. Hello there everyone. Today I want to show you how to make this Kimohimo braid with a cupcake pattern on it. And this is what it looks like. So you got your cupcakes going around your braid. You can obviously choose whatever colours you want, but this is what it's going to look like. So if you want to learn how to do that, then keep watching. And the things you're going to need for this braid